Protests as North gets lion's share in National Assembly's new appointments. Wow. So there are certain appointments that were given in National Assembly for the people working there, and the North got the lion's share of it. And they're saying there's a looming protest. Let's see how it goes. There is a looming protest in the National Assembly over alleged abuse of civil service rule in the appointment of key officers running the parliament bureaucracy. The fresh crisis is a fallout of the appointment of key officers to man the top management team of the National Assembly bureaucracy, with Mr. Sani Magaji Tambuwal, erstwhile Secretary of Finance and Accounts, appointed as acting clerk to the National Assembly. Tambuwal's appointment is coming after Amos Ojo commenced a compulsory retirement leave last Monday. A statement by the chairman of NASC National Assembly, Ahmed Kadi Amshi, listed other appointees to include Mr. Ogunlana Kamoru, who was Secretary of Legal Services, now elevated to the position of acting deputy clerk to the National Assembly. Also, Henrietta Aimwa Ehikioya, former Secretary of Special Duties, now redeployed as Secretary of Legal Services. Mr. Bema Shaibu, Director Legislative, is now the Acting Secretary of the Human Resources Directorate. Also, Mr. Umoru Bade Ali, Director Pharmacy, has been appointed Acting Secretary of Research and Information, while Mr. Omogbeyin Yomi, Director Legislative, is now Acting Secretary Special Duties. And according to the statement, Mr. Inyan Clement Titus, Director of Accounts, is now the Acting Secretary of Finance and Accounts. Mr. Ngoba Andrew, Director Admin, is now Acting Secretary of Planning and Legislative Budget. The appointments were sequel to the approval by the Commission of a memorandum presented by the Committee on Establishment, Records and Training to the Commission on the need to fill existing vacancies in the National Assembly management team. The Commission further resolved that the outgoing clerk to the National Assembly, Architect Ojo Olatunde Amos, continues to work with the acting clerk to the National Assembly, Sani Magaji Tambuwal, until his retirement date of 14th February 2023, in order to ensure the success of the ongoing 2023 appropriation bills processing that should be transmitted by only the substantive clerk to the National Assembly in accordance with the provisions of the Authentication Act, the National Assembly Committee chairman said in statement. However, some aggrieved staff claimed the appointment did not follow the civil service rule and also ignored the issue of seniority in the appointment of key officers. For instance, one of the staff said Aimwa Ehikioya, who is the most senior staff, was snubbed, and a staff from the Northwest, her junior, was picked as clerk. Similarly, Rollins Agada, Director of Information, who is the most senior staff in the directorate, was snubbed and his junior appointed as his boss. Now, with the appointment of Tambuwal, the North now controls the bureaucracy of the National Assembly. The chairman of National Assembly Committee, who was nominated by the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, hails from the North. He was Lawan's chief of staff until his appointment. Tambuwal hails from the Northwest. Director General of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, hails from the North Central. Wow. So the question here is, even in the National Assembly civil service work has now also been lopsided. That is what is happening here. Some people are old enough and are seniors, but now they have made their juniors to be their boss. And some positions that were supposed to come to the South have now, key positions have now been given also to the Northerners. So it is not only in Buhari's government appointing Northerners alone in his cabinet and key positions of the executive to the cabinet, to his own people. Now it has even hit the civil service commission that is in charge of the bureaucracy of the National Assembly. Right? So it means that there is also they want to also show that they run the show and that they own the country. So now the appointment of positions, civil service positions in the National Assembly, these are actually the normal civil service workers that run all the activities, administrative activities of the National Assembly. Right? So these are not elected senators or members of the House of Representatives. These are civil service workers that work in the National Assembly. Of course, they will follow the Civil Service Commission process, and then they will also be promoted to a certain level. I'm sure they will also get to DG. But what is happening here is that there's a kind of reorganization or reshuffling of the people, probably because of retirement, and now they've used the opportunity to, bring in outsiders to take the key positions, while the middle belt and the southerners there are now somehow neglected and relegated. All right, they snubbed them. Now they brought some people and they made their juniors, to become their boss. Right, so this is not a very fair deal for the members of National Assembly. That this what they have done has shown that the Northerners dominated the whole process and now had to dominate by putting their own people more positioned than the Southerners. Well, if not for the fact that there's always tribalism everywhere, if a senior is not performing, a junior can take his place for the purpose of performance improvement. All right, for the purpose of performance improvement. It happens in companies as well anyway. So it's not supposed to be a big deal if it is done with equity, fairness, and justice. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, there's no equity, there's no fairness, there's no justice. So, and tribalism and nepotism is the order of the day. So that is why people are crying out. And when people hear this kind of cry, the next thing is to x-ray it. Is the cry genuine or is the cry not genuine? But from what has been shown here, it means that Hausas have taken over the key positions of the Civil Service Commission that are in charge of the activities of the National Assembly. So let me see a few comments here that people have to make. This is the type of injustice that Governor Wike is fighting. That's what somebody is saying here. This is the type of injustice that Governor Wike is fighting against in the PDP, where every good thing is given to the North. Time to separate is now. Another person is saying, let us not fake unity. Let us Biafrans go this pretending cannot last. Unfortunately, Igbos can never accept second-class citizens or be assured of another crisis. Another person said, thank for your understanding. You know what Governor Wike is fighting for. Let us all join hands in freeing ourselves from the tago web of our adversaries. Nigeria for you, and at the end, they are not productive. Wow. So there is no way the supposedly senior will 100% work efficiently. Whether it's on a fair ground of performance, we quite understand that. It happens in companies, like I said earlier, that if the old person or the most senior person, for age or for some reason is no more productive, the art of performance is near zero, well, the such person is to be put aside and let an active person take over. Because there was also a time such old person was also at the peak of his performance and very active. But now, for some reasons, age or health or sometimes attitude to work is no longer performing and not ready to change. You put the person aside and put a more active and a more productive person. That is on a fair note, all right? And it can be justified. But, in Nigerian civil service, that is not the case, I don't think, because almost everything is nepotism and tribalism. That is where the issue is, all right? So it is unfortunate that Nigeria, because everything in Nigeria is quota system. So whether the person from the north is performing or not performing, quota system put him there. You share all the position and you put in a quota system, and then you bring somebody who is a professor or a doctor from the south, you pair him with somebody who has just primary six from the north, just because it's a quota system. And at the end of the day, the person that has the primary six, you promote him more than the person that has a doctorate degree from the south, because of nepotism and tribalism. So it's not a fair system, actually. That is the truth. It's not a place for excellence, because excellence is not a keyword in Nigerian civil service or even in Nigerian politics completely. So there are several other comments. It's just that I won't be able to go through all of them. Somebody said the first replaced other tribes against Igbo people after using them to drive Igbo people. They then kick you all out. Never all Muslims to use you, never allow all Muslims to use you, anyone to fight an Igbo man. Yeah, so they're always saying is that the Igbo people are there in good positions. Sometimes they use them to fight the Igbos, and after using them to fight the Igbos, they drop them out and then they put an Hausa to take charge. Well, that must have been seen in several other parastatals, so it's not coming from the blues. So those are the comments that we have. Thank you for listening, and let's have your comment as well. The Civil Service Commission in charge of National Assembly bureaucracy, the positions there now and the promotions are now lopsided towards the north. And that is where this complaint and this protest is coming from. Let's have your comment as well.